The story of America, as it is commonly told, begins far too late. Long before the first colony, long before the Declaration, long before the arrival of Europeans, there existed a civilization so vast, so organized, and so scientifically gifted that its disappearance remains the greatest unsolved mystery of the continent. Most Americans have never heard its name. Most historians deny it ever existed. Yet the evidence, fragments of stone tablets, anomalous copper machines, genetic traces in ancient skeletons, and an almost perfectly preserved underground observatory discovered in Nevada suggests a forgotten chapter of human history, one older than Rome, older than the pyramids, perhaps older than writing itself. And the discovery that finally forced the world to reconsider everything came from a place most people would never expect: a collapsed mine in central Nevada, sealed for 12,000 years. It was here, in the summer of 2024, that a government survey team stumbled upon a tunnel unlike anything naturally formed. Walls smoothed as if carved by heat, ceilings lined with symbols resembling a hybrid of Native American petroglyphs and Bronze Age Mediterranean motifs. At the very end of the corridor lay a circular stone door, perfectly balanced on a central pivot, engraved with constellations that no longer match the modern spire. Behind that door was the first known artifact of the civilization that scholars would later call the Ashalon Empire. But this story does not begin in 2024. It begins thousands of years earlier, when North America was home to cities of shining copper, desert observatories that tracked distant stars, vast agricultural networks stretching from the Rockies to the Mississippi, and a political system built on a level of knowledge modern society is only now beginning to understand. This is the story of Ashalon, the empire erased from history, buried beneath time, and rediscovered only by accident. The earliest evidence of the Ashalon civilization comes from a layer of sediment known as the Ridge Formation, discovered in 1911 but misunderstood for over a century. Embedded within that layer were fragments of pottery containing a type of blue pigment not naturally found anywhere in North America. At the time, archaeologists assumed contamination. But decades later, chemical analysis revealed its composition matched pigments used by Bronze Age cultures in the Mediterranean. This was the first anomaly. The second came from a set of burial mounds uncovered in Illinois, where skeletal remains showed surgical cranial modifications performed with a precision that baffled modern surgeons. The cuts were clean, symmetrical, executed with tools harder than any Native American metal known from the era. Yet no one dared to suggest a lost civilization. Not publicly. Privately, government archives were already filling with reports of impossible artifacts, metallurgical alloys predating colonial contact, astronomical carvings showing constellations as they appeared 10,000 years ago, woven textiles that resembled early Sumerian patterns. Still, the academic world held firm to its linear view of American prehistory, until the Nevada discovery forced open the door that had been shut for generations. The stone chamber behind the pivoting door measured 20 feet across, its walls lined with copper plates etched with symbols unlike any known writing. In the center stood a pedestal shaped like an hourglass, holding a single clay tablet sealed in resin. When the resin was removed, the tablet revealed a sequence of pictographs telling a story no historian had ever read. It described an empire called Ashalon, founded in the time when the ice walked across the land, ruled by astronomer kings who mapped the heavens and taught their people to cultivate the land using techniques now considered far ahead of their era. The tablet spoke of giant river cities along what is now the Mississippi, copper forges in the Rockies, trade networks reaching the Atlantic, and most shockingly, a catastrophe that forced survivors to seal away their knowledge deep underground. The tablet was only the beginning. Much of the underground complex remained unexplored, its passages blocked by sediment, its deeper chambers flooded by ancient groundwater. But what had already been uncovered changed everything academic historians believed about North America. For thousands of years, Ashalon thrived, advancing astronomy, agriculture, architecture, and metallurgy. Their cities, according to the tablet, were arranged according to celestial patterns, each aligned to a star whose position has since shifted due to Earth's axial precession. Their engineers built irrigation systems so efficient that remnants still influence modern water flow in parts of the Midwest. What baffled modern scientists most were the materials found in the chamber. The copper plates, though thousands of years old, showed almost no corrosion. The stone door rotated on a mechanism so finely balanced that it could be moved with a single hand, despite weighing several tons. The pigments on the wall illustrations remained vibrant, preserved by a technique resembling early chemical sealing unknown in the ancient world. And yet, despite their brilliance, the people of Ashalon vanished. Not migrated, not conquered, vanished. The tablet hinted at a sky fire and the darkening of the rivers, but its final lines were the most haunting. We seal away our memory until the world is ready again. Let those who find this place remember us, for we were the first. As excavations continued, a clearer picture of the civilization began to emerge from fragments, stone tools that were far too advanced for their era, woven cloth sealed in airtight jars, preserved seeds of crops long thought native only to Europe or Asia. One of the most startling discoveries came from a completely different site, a cave deep in Wyoming, containing a mural stretching nearly 50 feet across. The mural depicted a city of tall structures topped with copper domes, arranged along what appeared to be a river delta. Above the city, the stars were drawn in constellations matching the sky of 10,500 BCE. Further analysis showed the mural had been painted using a binding material made from a rare resin still not fully understood by modern chemistry. None of this information reached the public at first. Government agencies quietly classified the findings, citing cultural sensitivity and potential historical misinterpretation. But leaks began to circulate, and eventually independent researchers uncovered enough evidence that the story could not be silenced. The rediscovery of Ashalon marked the beginning of a century-long struggle between traditional historians who insisted the artifacts were misdated and a growing body of researchers who believed America harbored its own ancient civilization equal to Egypt, Mesopotamia, or the Indus Valley. But while academics argued, new discoveries continued to surface, and with each one, the mystery deepened. The debate surrounding Ashalon reached a breaking point when a series of seismic tremors struck Nevada in early 2025. At first, they seemed insignificant, barely strong enough to rattle windows in rural towns. But in the restricted archaeological zone, one tremor caused the collapse of a sealed wall within the underground complex. Behind it lay a tunnel descending deeper into the earth, hewn with the same impossible precision seen in the upper chambers. The walls of this new passage were covered with polished obsidian tiles, each engraved with geometric patterns that seemed to shift under torchlight. Some researchers reported optical illusions, shapes bending, lines appearing to move, symbols transforming when viewed from different angles. Geologists confirmed the obsidian could not have come from any known volcanic field in Nevada. Someone, thousands of years ago, had transported tons of the glass from hundreds of miles away and carved it with tools harder than diamond. At the passage's end sat a domed chamber nearly 100 feet wide. Embedded in the floor was a metallic ring unlike anything yet discovered. It was made from an alloy no laboratory could. The stone's final rotation and its unmistakable alignment toward the carved human hand created a silence so complete that the faint hum beneath the chamber floor became deafening. Every researcher, guard, engineer, and technician stood motionless, waiting to see if something else would activate. But nothing did. The stone froze in place, suspended above the floor, its comet symbol aligned with the warning hand. For the first time, multiple researchers agreed on one unsettling possibility. The Ashalon device was not simply a tool. It was an alarm, a warning timed perfectly for an astronomical event, one that would return after 12,000 years. The next question was immediate. Why now? What threshold had just been reached? Astrophysicists ran simulations, astronomers recalculated orbital projections, geologists cross-referenced ancient sediment layers with known impact events. The conclusion formed slowly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. The comet had already begun its inbound leg around the sun. Still distant, still invisible to amateur telescopes, but approaching. And the ancient machine had detected it before modern observatories could. The second vault. If the first vault revealed Ashalon's knowledge of the stars, the second vault, discovered only after the floating stone activated, revealed something far stranger. Hours after the projected sky simulation ended, a tremor shook the complex. Dust drifted from the ceiling. A deep thud reverberated through the walls like a distant drumbeat. When sensors stabilized, new readings appeared on the thermal map. An entire section of the cavern floor had warmed by 3 degrees. Not randomly, not unevenly. The warmth formed a perfect circle. Archaeologists rushed to the site. Beneath the thin layer of compacted sand lay a massive circular stone, 60 feet in diameter, engraved with the same spiral pattern found in the global map. The spiral represented the comet's fracturing point. The center represented the eye. But now, for the first time, researchers saw something new. A second comet, faint, smaller, trailing behind the first. A fragment? A twin? A secondary object never documented in modern data? The meaning was unclear. Still, the stone circle pulsed with warmth. Then, as if reacting to the attention of the living, it clicked downward, just a fraction of an inch, followed by a deep grinding sound. The stone disc separated into 3 concentric rings, each rotating independently. Beneath them, the floor split open. Dust poured into the darkness below as ancient mechanisms groaned to life for the first time in millennia. A vertical shaft descended into the earth, walls carved smooth, lined with metallic seams like the inside of a machine. Warm air drifted upward, carrying the faint smell of ancient resin and something metallic, almost electrical. A platform emerged from the void, a circular elevator of stone and copper, rising silently until it locked into place flush with the chamber floor. Whatever the Ashalon people had meant for the world to see next, it was ready to be revealed. Dr. Rowan, trembling yet resolute, stepped on the platform. Others followed, their lights flickering against the descending walls as the platform sank once more into the depths. The shaft continued far longer than expected, hundreds of feet, perhaps more. Torchlight faded, the air grew still. At last, the platform stopped. A soft blue glow illuminated a cavern so large it seemed like the interior of a swallowed city. And floating, hundreds of feet from the ground, suspended by no visible structure, was a sphere. Massive, smooth, glowing with shifting patterns of light. It resembled the floating stone, but magnitudes larger, 30 feet in diameter at least. The light swirling across its surface formed shapes, constellations, moving as if alive. But the illusion broke when one researcher gasped. The sphere wasn't displaying the night sky. It was displaying Earth. Not as a flat map, as a globe. Continents drifted across its surface, shifting position over thousands of years in seconds. Ice ages formed and melted. Seas rose and receded. Then the sphere froze on the world as it existed 10,000 years ago, during Ashalon's height. Cities glowed faintly across the continents. Trade routes shimmered like golden threads. And everywhere the triangle symbol appeared, marking nodes in a global communication network. Suddenly the globe began to change again. The land split. Fires ignited. Oceans surged. Meteor trails streaked across the atmosphere. The catastrophe was replaying exactly as it happened. A wave of molten debris struck the western coast of ancient North America. Another hit the Atlantic. A third impacted near the Gulf of Mexico. Then came the floods, walls of water obliterating coastlines. Then the atmospheric collapse, dark skies, acid rains, freezing cold. Then nothing. No lights, no cities, only darkness. The Ashalon civilization vanished in seconds on the sphere's glowing skin. Yet the simulation continued. Centuries passed, then thousands of years. New lights appeared, slowly, unevenly, representing human settlements rising again. But they were simple, primitive, disconnected. The global network was gone, forever. Only then did the researchers understand. The comet didn't just destroy Ashalon, it reset human civilization. The world we know today, every nation, every culture, every language, emerged from the ashes of a lost world far more advanced than historians ever imagined. A civilization that tried to save itself, failed, and tried to save us instead. The sphere glowed brighter. New symbols formed. Math, equations, coordinates. The final projection stunned everyone present. It showed modern-day Earth with the predicted trajectory of the comet highlighted in red. The impact zone? The western United States, almost exactly over Nevada. The circle of danger encompassed Las Vegas, Reno, Salt Lake City, and portions of California and Oregon. And the debris stream extended across the entire continent. Ashalon had not been warning the future for academic reasons, not for mythology, not for glory. They had built a system meant to survive extinction and activate when the threat returned. As the sphere dimmed, a final message appeared, not in symbols, but in pictographic form simple enough that no language barrier could obscure it. You have little time. We could not stop the sky, but you may yet survive it. The platform began rising again, pulling the shaken teen towards the surface. Above them, the floating stone in the upper chamber rotated once more, aligning now not with the warning hand, but with a new symbol, a rising sun. A beginning or an ending? No one could yet tell. But one thing was certain. The Ashalon story was not finished, and the world was running out of time. The platform rose back into the upper chamber with a trembling final thud. Dust shook loose from the ceiling. Fine grains drifted down like ancient snow. The floating stone gleamed faintly as though it recognized that the deeper vault had finally been opened. Dr. Rowan and her team stepped off the elevator in absolute silence. No one spoke. No one could. A civilization 10,000 years gone had just shown them, visually, undeniably, its global network, its final extinction, and the exact threat bearing down on modern Earth. One researcher, pale and trembling, whispered the only words anyone could form. "We weren't the first advanced culture. We're just the latest attempt." But before the implications could even settle, the stone shifted again, this time creating a grinding tremor so powerful it rattled every metal tool in the chamber. A new symbol emerged from the stone's underside. It projected downward onto the chamber floor like a spotlight. A spiral, 3 descending lines, a dot at the bottom. Dr. Rowan's breath caught in her throat. She recognized it from the deepest vault. The symbol for fragment descent. The Ashalon device was signaling that one of the comet's fragments was already inbound toward the inner solar system. Not in the future, not decades away, now. The activation triggered an immediate response from the U.S. government. Within hours, the entire Nevada complex fell under classified lockdown. The research team was divided, some escorted to secure facilities, others reassigned under strict non-disclosure directives. But science spreads like roots, and secrets, once discovered, refuse to stay buried. Global resonance. News of a large solar anomaly erupted only days. It responded to the comet, to the stars, to humanity as a whole. And now, with the comet accelerating, the Ashalon network had begun a countdown. Its next phase would soon activate, a phase no living person could anticipate. The global pulse. At exactly midnight UTC, on a quiet Tuesday no different from any other, every active Ashalon vault, Nevada, Yonaguni, Sahara, and the Himalayas, emitted the same harmonic pulse. A deep resonant sound, long, low, steady. It lasted exactly 90 seconds. Seismographs registered it worldwide. Whales in the Pacific changed migration paths. Radio frequencies spiked. GPS signals jittered. And at the ends of the pulse, one terrifying event occurred. The Nevada sphere activated on its own. The floating stone vibrated violently, and on the chamber floor, a new image appeared. A face, not mythic, not symbolic, not distorted. A real human face, preserved through advanced projection memory. A woman, a leader of Ashalon, her eyes calm, intelligent, filled with the weight of an entire civilization's last breath. She faced the future. She faced humanity. And she spoke, not in words, not in language, but in a universal pictographic sequence. The sky is no longer safe. Awaken all engines. Follow the lights. Time is shorter than we believed. Prepare, successors, prepare. Then the projection ended. The pulse ceased, and the world, modern, fragile, unprepared, stepped into the final chapter of a cycle that began 12,000 years earlier. The face that appeared in the Nevada sphere, calm, ancient, and impossibly human, spread through classified channels like wildfire. Analysts, linguists, and psychologists studied every detail of her projection, the shape of her eyes, the subtle patterns of the tattoos or paint on her skin, the positioning of her hands. Every feature told a story. But the message, simple, stark, and universal, was unmistakable. Time is shorter than we believed. A silent fear gripped the entire research team. It wasn't only the comet's acceleration, it was the tone of the warning, as though Ashalon had foreseen something else accompanying the comet. Something worse, something unseen. But before the Nevada team could analyze further, global events forced their hand. The Earth itself was responding. The Himalayan vault opens. Under a sky thick with winter fog, the multinational team approached the triangle-shaped structure buried beneath the glacier. As they neared the entrance, still entombed in frost, the ice began to fracture. Not from pressure, not from seismic activity. It fractured in perfect hexagon patterns, as if the structure beneath was emitting a geometric resonance. Then a giant slab of ice, 60 feet long, split cleanly in two. A doorway emerged, tall, smooth, metallic, perfectly proportioned to the triangular site. The same alloy as Nevada's lower vault, the same impossible, tool-free construction. A faint blue glow pulsed from within. The Ashalon network had fully awakened. Inside, the chamber was circular and cold, but pristine. At its center stood a column of dark stone, taller than a person, carved with spirals and mathematical arcs. Surrounding it were 7 smaller pedestals, each holding an object wrapped in a type of ancient fabric that crumbled at the slightest touch. One pedestal, however, held something intact. A metallic prism, 6-sided, translucent at the edges. Not floating this time, but humming with a vibrant internal light. The researchers froze. It was identical in design to the Nevada cube, but far larger. A data vault. As they approached, the prism activated. Lines of light burst outward, filling the chamber with symbols and diagrams. Orbital correction algorithms. Atmospheric resonance maps. Mechanical blueprints for colossal ring structures. Energy output formulas. Stress tolerance diagrams for planet-scale engineering. This was not merely a survival manual. This was the complete Ashalon defense system, far more detailed than anything in Nevada. The prism was a blueprint for a machine so large it could only exist in one place: Earth itself. Humanity had been left instructions for a global system, a living defense network that would use the planet's magnetic field, atmosphere, and resonance frequencies to push celestial objects off course. Ashalon had tried to build it. They failed. The prism displayed their construction attempts. Massive mirrored rings built on mountaintops, collapsed by shock waves. Copper towers shattered by fragment impacts. Half-completed resonant plates glowing uselessly under dark skies. Their last message flashed again across the hologram. Begin where we ended. Complete the circle. Modern humanity stared at the impossible. A planetary engineering project. 43 years to build it. And only a fraction of the knowledge preserved. Unless this wasn't the last vault. The Sahara resonance. Just as the Himalayan vault activated, sandstorms raged across Algeria without warning. Satellites recorded a shock wave emanating from beneath the desert surface, one that extended for nearly 20 miles. Then something extraordinary occurred. The dunes moved, not blowing away, not shifting randomly, but sliding aside in coordinated lines, revealing geometric patterns beneath the sand. Hexagons, spirals, triangular grids. The Sahara vault was much larger than expected. So large, it redefined ancient geography. Ashalon Sahara node was not a chamber. It was an entire buried city. Copper towers capped with reflective plates, circular plazas carved with star charts, a central ziggurat-like structure with mirrors angled toward the horizon. The largest mirror, shattered by time, was over 200 feet wide. Engineers stared in stunned silence. Ashalon had attempted to build part of the engine of the sky here. They had tried to create a continental-scale resonant mirror, but the comet fragment struck before it could be activated. One wall inscription in the Sahara city was preserved well enough to read, "We built against time." The sky moved faster. The modern world faced the same truth. They too were racing the sky. The Nevada sphere begins its countdown. While global discoveries exploded across the media, despite government attempts to suppress them, the Nevada sphere activated yet again. A beam of light shot upward, striking the chamber ceiling and creating a rippling projection of the night sky. Numbers appeared. Symbols rotated. A spiral of dots collapsed inward. Dr. Rowan held her breath as the clock updated. 42 years, 11 months, 4 days. The clock had started. This was not a projection, not a prophecy.